Hi everyone, we're Team Papa, and I'm talking about our project, which is text farming. So this is pretty much the brief we were given, and I'd like to talk about a few parts of it. The first is, who's the product for? So our client was an NGO, but really the product is for subsistence farmers. So who are subsistence farmers? Subsistence farmers are farmers who harvest almost entirely for food for their own families. They're a group who are more and more today getting access to mobile phones, but not necessarily the internet. So our aim of our project was to get data to these subsistence farmers so they can maximize their crop yield and often more importantly, their crop reliability. In dealing with subsistence farmers, we had a couple of issues that we always had to be aware of, including local languages and also dealing with low literacy rates. Therefore, we created two systems by which the farmers could get access to this data. The first was with daily SMS updates, which contains things like weather and market data and things like that. But they could also call in and get this information read to them. In dealing with crop health, which was another big part of our brief, we had a bit of an issue. There isn't really much crop health data around the world. So we created our own by getting the farmers to self-report. When they call in, they can report a crop health issue, and this is given to local authorities and NGOs who can look at it and can analyse it and decide how they can broadcast information back to the farmers and get them to for example, use a pesticide to remove a pest from a crop that they've reported. This split into three kind of major parts that the clients dealt with, that the users used. The first was the SMS and voice, which the farmers used, and the last was this web app system, which was accessible to the authorized users, and they could use it to analyze these crop reports which were coming in and to broadcast updates. To talk a little bit more about what these ended up looking like, I'm going to pass on to Cairo.
So SMS is how we expect most users will interact with our service. When registering for the service, the user can choose their language from a choice given by the most popular languages spoken in the country. Then, to get an accurate location for a user, we're using a service called What Free Words. What Free Words takes free, memorable words and gives us the location in a 3 by 3 meter squared area. So that way, this was solving issues we had with like obscure town names or local dialect names for certain areas that weren't necessarily covered by Google Maps. When we introduced the service to the people, we would then tell them their free words, that way they could sign up. Once a user is registered, they will receive their daily text, which gives them the local weather forecast and the crop prices that they said they were interested in their local currency. The second component was the voice system, in which a user can call in and navigate through the system using numerical inputs. So that way they can hear their daily update instead of reading the text. This is how they would also send in the crop reports, and then they can obviously change their details and restart the registration process if, say, they've started growing a new crop. The last bit is the web app. Now, we'd only given the logins to the relevant authorities or NGOs in the area. And the first bit is that they can go on and send a message. So they can actually write a custom message. They would do this by giving the date and time that they would like the message to be sent to the users, and the location and the radius. And then once they've submitted that, all users in that location will be sent the message at the relevant date and time. The second part was the analytics. This is where they would go on, see the map, and actually listen to all the crop reports that have been submitted in the local areas. So this is the flow chart for how our whole system comes together. We've used several APIs to get the data. So we used getting our weather data, our crop prices and currency, as well as several location services. The back end of our system was all written in Java, and the front-end secure login system was written using PHP. We were using Twilio to deal with the handling of the calling and receiving of texts, and all data was stored in a MySQL database.
So I'd just like to briefly mention the impact of all of this. So it's important to say that we're solving a real problem. There are over 2 billion people around the world who rely on subsistence farming. By giving these farmers data, we're giving them the opportunity to have more security and having better yields and making sure their family can always eat food. More than this, we're offering them opportunities to move beyond subsistence farming, to start to try and sell their crops and knowing what the fair price is to do this. Also, we've introduced better communications between governments, NGOs and their citizens to allow information to flow in both directions. That's everything, though. Thank you very much.